Hey there, welcome back to the Mindset Check podcast. I'm your host, Misha McKittrick. This is a podcast where I believe that as you take time for a mindset check, you have more power than you think you do. And where we also believe that learning truths about your brain help you rewrite your reality. I'm pumped to jump into this episode today and help you see things possibly from a bigger picture. Before we get started, I always love sharing things that I'm finding that I love. One thing that I love, and I know you know this because I told you just a couple of weeks ago that I love drinks. One of the things that I've been doing lately that I wanted to share with you, I buy that, collagen from Costco. And P.S., I'm not here promoting collagen. I'm like, should I drink it? Should I not? I don't know. So I'm drinking it, okay? Not all the time, but occasionally. And I like to do, the scoop of the collagen that's just that plain flavor, like almost nothing. And I like to mix a little true lemonade or, packet. They have those like wild berry or strawberry, or if you don't know what those are fantastic. You can just look for them in the section at your grocery store where it sells like, little flavor add-ins to your water. Well, they have these ones that are flavored by stevia, a natural sweetener, and it is the true lime packets of lemonade. And I just add one of those in with the collagen, and it's a fantastic, yummy summer drink. So there's a fun little tip for your day. Also, I wanted to say, if you're new to the podcast, welcome. We are so glad that you're here. I hope that you all are having a fantastic kickoff to your summer. School is wrapping up for us here, and all kinds of cool, awesome plans for the summer are in motion, and it's feeling really great. So I hope it is for you as well. And without any further ado, let's jump into the episode. We are going to go over 6 facts about your brain, about the way that it works, and about how your mind can distort or filter what is actually going on. And so therefore creating a different reality for us, right? And the more that we learn to see how our brain works, the more that we can use it to our advantage. These truths can be both grounding and liberating. They're so great to really help us see the bigger picture. All right, so let's start with the first fact being that your brain creates a simulation of reality. So neuroscientists say we don't experience the world as it is, we experience the brain's interpretation of it. This is called controlled hallucination. Okay, this is Dr. Anil Seth that coined that term. And your brain takes limited sensory info and fills in the rest with expectations and past experiences and emotion. Dr. Anil Seth says, we are all hallucinating all the time. When we agree about our hallucinations, we call that reality. I love this so much. My son recently watched the Hunger Games series, and he was asking me to watch this. I think it's the second to last one, the last one that has Katniss in it. Okay. And we were watching it. And if you can remember the storyline, or if you've seen it, the government, the corrupt government, trains a guy named Peeta, who used to be Katniss's boyfriend, to think that she's the enemy and want to kill her. So they trained his brain to be able to do that. And then when they were starting to pull him out of that, because the good guys got him and they were detoxing his thoughts and so forth. And when he was kind of coming out of it, he started to realize that his brain started thinking a thought, and he would make a statement and he would say true or false. Like he would state a memory of something that had happened, or something that he knew was his favorite or her favorite things or whatever it was. And he would say true or false. And if whoever he was with, and especially Katniss a lot, said true, then he was like, okay, I know I'm in my own brain, my own mind, And I think that's interesting when we look at hallucinating all of the time. If we think of our life like that, and we have to say to ourselves, true or false, by checking in with another person, and then we can see that we're in agreement about reality, then all of a sudden, then that confirms that that is reality. And I think that that is something that's so good, for us to have a check-in about, just to be able to do, like the line says in that famous 90s song, check yourself before you wreck yourself, right? Think of this example. Two people walk into the same room. One grew up in a loving home and sees a group of people chatting and thinks, oh, they look nice, I should say hi. And the other was raised around criticism and sees the exact same group of people and thinks, they're probably talking about me. Same room, different simulation. Your brain fills in the blanks based on past data, and it doesn't show you reality. It shows you what you expect to see. I'm sure that there's a possibility that your brain is flooded with examples of people. Like I am suddenly thinking about like a handful of people that read the situation a certain way and you go, that is not the way that I see it at all. So it's great for us to be able to let go, let go of like the pride of being right and so forth, to be able to see reality. And if it's true, then guess what? That is actually such good news, because you can train your brain to expect more beauty, more safety, more joy, because the simulation isn't fixed, right? What happened inside of you isn't fixed. It's fluid. We can teach ourselves to adjust and to adapt and to be able to see that group of people that are over there talking amongst themselves as a positive thing, as a space we want to be and that we want to walk into and that we feel welcomed in. So much of that happens inside of our brain, and that's really important to start to be able to widen the lens to see. The next fact is that your thoughts are not always true. You have over 6,000 thoughts a day, and many of them are repetitive and negative by default. This is so because there's something that's called the negativity bias, and it's actually a survival mechanism, right? Our ancestors needed this to be able to help them survive. And obviously, you are the offspring that has survived thus far. But it's really important to start to understand that your brain kind of automatically thinks this way, because of this negativity bias. The reason why that would be really important for you to start to see is because you can then say, okay, just because I think it doesn't make it true. So you witness a thought happening in your brain. Well, what part of you is witnessing that? You are not your thoughts. And so it's really important to understand that you get to be the selector, right? A thought comes in, you get to hang on to it or not, let it leave, let it come, let it go. It's really important to understand that you don't have to believe every single thing that you think. Think about if you are walking into a store and someone you know walks past without saying hi to you. What do you automatically think? Maybe your brain offers up, they're mad at me. Maybe I did something wrong. And then hours later, you find out that they had just gotten hard news and they didn't even see you. But meanwhile, your brain made up a whole story. Crazy, 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 crazy. Our brains are crazy sometimes. Your brain is like a news station. It's constantly broadcasting headlines based on fear or old patterns. But not every single headline is accurate. You are not your thoughts. You are the one noticing them. Have you ever caught yourself believing a story that turned out to not be true? I hope you have. I literally hope with all my heart that you have. I have. And it really helps me to be able to check in and go, oh my gosh, like I automatically pinned that on, maybe that child, or I thought something of this person, and it's so good to catch yourself in it and to say, actually, that's not true. Because what would that change about the future? It would probably allow you to pause before you accept the next automatic story that your brain serves you. Do you see that? It's so healthy and so good. All right, the next fact is that cognitive distortions color your experience. So your mind uses shortcuts called cognitive distortions. Okay, this is like catastrophizing, black and white thinking, or mind reading, right? Like I can tell what you're thinking, those types of things. And it changes how you perceive others, how you perceive the future. And these distortions don't often match the reality, right? We can create things to be. Mark Twain, he said, I've had a lot of worries in my life, most of which have never happened. This would be a cognitive distortion. We find ourselves and catch ourselves in these crazy loops of worry, and it's not even reality. So think about this. Think about if you text someone and they don't reply. Your mind might say, well, they must be upset with me. But the truth could be that they're just busy or they're distracted, right? Let's say that you make a mistake at work. A cognitive distortion like all or nothing thinking might say, I always screw things up. I'm terrible at this. But the truth is, one mistake does not make you incompetent. It makes you human. It's so crazy how our brains can spiral and make one thing all the things. When we were first married, my husband and I, we learned what a superlative is. And a superlative is the form of the highest degree. Okay, something at its highest. Like, instead of bad, it's like the worst, right? Or instead of interesting, it's the most interesting. It's like the highest, the simplest instead of simple. So we would use superlatives in the way of saying like you always, or you never, or this is the worst, right? And we tended to like spiral when we would get in a fight, and we would say and describe things in a superlative fashion when that wasn't even true. So it's so really good to see your brain working in this way so that you can kind of call yourself out on it. When you spot these distortions, it's like putting on glasses that help you see what's actually in front of you, not what fear paints over it. With my husband and I, it was one of those situations where we would call each other out and say, you can't say that. You can't say that superlative. And man, we had to reteach ourselves that like we were catastrophizing things and we were making it into so much more than it actually was. It was so healthy for us to like not use those words anymore, right? Because then we were starting to describe the situation for what it actually was, and it wasn't as bad as what we would have previously had these like whirlwind of thoughts of, right? All right, so the next fact is emotions affect perception. When you're anxious, depressed, or overwhelmed, you literally see and hear differently. Studies show that negative moods narrow your focus and change how your brain processes what's going on. This means that when you're feeling low, everything seems worse, even if nothing has changed. There's a famous study where people who are in a bad mood perceived a hill as steeper than those in a good mood. Anxiety can make a text message feel like a rejection. Depression can make a sunny day feel gray. You can literally read something right in front of your face and not even be reading the real truth because of the feeling that you are feeling inside of you. Your interpretation is often not open when you are in heightened emotions about something. Think about PMS or exhaustion or being hangry. Or maybe you have some really intense feelings about a certain subject and trying to approach that subject feels hard. The world seems different, not because it changed, but because your internal state changed. So it's important to recognize that what you are feeling is valid, but it might not be showing you the whole truth. And when we pause and we breathe and we come back to center, we let our body recalibrate before deciding what's real or even being able to approach the subject or the situation, right? Think about Christmas Eve when everybody's like at their like their end of their rope and you finally get the kids to bed and you are putting together a gajillion things. And man, you can feel when there's not a lot in the tank, it certainly can alter your perception. I saw a post of a friend and she has a daughter who has a lot of like really intense mental challenges. And gosh, she wrote this whole thing about how she checked into a local hotel over the weekend because she realized that there were all these red flags happening inside of her internal environment. And she was just kind of at her max. And she literally wrote about how she left her child like screaming, but she knew because her daughter was really upset that she was leaving, right? She was still in safe hands and the whole thing. But the mom needed to get away and restore and fill up her cup, so to say, so that she could come back to the situation with clear thoughts, with a clear mind, so that she could function better. So that's a really great one to notice, to fill up your gas tank when you're getting low. The next fact might be my favorite. You can change your experience by changing your state. Practices like breathwork, heart coherence, and meditation shift your autonomic nervous system from stress, right? Like that fight or flight, to calm. You can rest and restore and literally handle so many things that are on your plate. It changes everything. This shift changes your perception of the world, even though the world hasn't changed. I love the quote by Wayne Dyer when he says, "When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change." Think about being stuck in traffic and your heart is racing and frustration is building. You're literally seeing through such a pinhole, like almost nothing. But if you slow your breath down and you drop into heart coherence, you might suddenly notice the sky, the song playing, or the way that you are okay in this moment. Nothing outside has changed, but your experience did. You do not have to wait for life to get easier. You can create ease right now with a single breath, a hand on your heart, and a moment of stillness. The next fact about your beautiful brain is that what you focus on grows. Your brain has a built-in filter called the reticular activating system, or you could call it the RAS. And this is something that shows you more of what you already believe or focus on. If you believe that life is hard, the RAS will prove you right. If you start noticing beauty, opportunity, or love, the RAS will find more of that too, right? You've heard of like the new car syndrome or the red car syndrome or whatever you want to call it, right? When you purchase a new car or when you're thinking of purchasing a new car, you suddenly see that car everywhere, whether it's a color or, a make and model of a car, you see that everywhere. That is your reticular activating system. Your brain highlights what it's told is important. What if your brain is trained to only spot disappointment, rejection, or danger? That's what it will find. But if you train it to look for beauty, signs, alignment, then you find those things instead. So something that you can do is each morning, name 3 things that you're looking for. Beauty, kindness, opportunity, ladybugs for all I care. Train your reticular activating system the same way you would train a puppy, with patience and repetition. This is why I love affirmations so much, because if you put it in front of your brain, like if you put the thought at what we would say the forefront of your brain, even though the RAS is in the back of your brain, we're just going to say that if you put the thought in the forefront of your brain will look for it. And guess what? It will find it. It will find it. I have seen this time and time again in my life, all the way from tiny little experiments like blue butterflies to really great things like stating affirmations and then allowing and watching them come to fruition. Big ones, right? Like a house, like a vacation, like a car, those types of things. That's why affirmations work. And your brain is so beautiful, and you can really train it in such an amazing way. Listen, the stories that you tell yourself, they are powerful, but they're just stories. You can rewrite them. You can feel something new, and you can choose again. The world might not be against you. It might just be waiting for you to soften the lens. Think for a moment about a woman who walks the same trail every day. Her eyes down, worried. She sees tangled roots in the ground and her own feet redundantly repeating each step. One day she lifts her gaze. The roots haven't moved, and the ground is still beneath her feet. But now she sees light dancing through the trees, a ladybug on a leaf, a gorgeous blue sky, and a path ahead that was always there. She just hadn't seen it. Through these facts, I hope that you can see that your inner world shapes your experience of the outer one, and that by shifting things within yourself, you have more power than you think. I hope this podcast helped you set your world a little more right. Speaking of that, have you ever listened to a podcast episode that shifted your energy? If an episode from me has done that for you, leaving a quick 5-star review helps me keep creating meaningful content and helps others find it too. It's easy to leave a review. All you have to do is go to the show on your podcast app, scroll down until you see rating and reviews, click there, and then you can give it 5 stars and then write a review. I would super appreciate that. And I say that as kind of an inside joke because my youngest son is always saying, "Mom, should we do that? Would it be super fun?" Because he's kind of making a little bit of like light. I don't want to say making fun. He makes a little bit of light of the way that I approach, right? It's like me saying like, "Hey, are you guys doing that because you think it will like enhance your aura?" You know, all of this skibbity Ohio Riz talk with the young ones. It's so fun to go there and talk in their language. Well, that's kind of him throwing it back at me. Because I do say to him, "Tice, let's do it. It'd be super fun." Anyway, thank you so much for spending time with me today. I want to leave you with a quote from Anais Nin. She says, "You don't see the world as it is. You see it as you are." Until next time, my friend.